Welcome to the Accounting Technology Fireside Chat Podcast. Now, sit back and enjoy while Nick and Trevor help you use your technology to make money and delight your clients.
Well, hello and welcome to the Accounting Technology Fireside Chat Podcast. Hello, Trevor.
Hi, Nick. How are you?
Not too bad. How's lockdown for you?
I don't know. Sunny day. We can't go out in it. I don't know. Wearing me down, Nick. It's wearing me down. I don't know how many 200 and something days.
Oh, yeah, I'm fine. It is what it is, right? There's very little you can do. My work isn't very different, whether I'm doing it here or anywhere else, so I'm pretty chilled.
The only thing that affects me is I can't play golf.
Oh, you can't play golf?
No.
You should try being in New South Wales. We've been able to play golf the entire time.
Oh, don't I know that? Don't know what the different definitions are, but anyway.
Yes, there's lots of things we can do here. It's really. I'm not going to go into my views on the mockdown.
No, let's not do that. Let's talk about.
But we are going to talk about technology and lockdowns, and the whole view of. I was with a customer recently where they're a little bit legacy, shall we say, and they rely on servers, and of course the server broke during lockdown. Everyone's trying to work from home and VPNing and all sorts of horrible things. And we had to send somebody into the office. And that meant they needed to get a permit. They needed to go to an LGO concern. They put themselves at risk. They had to go into the office. They had to fix something. It's all really hard. Yet all my other customers who are in the cloud, who have been doing what everyone's been saying to do for the last 10 years, are having no issues at all. You know, they're working on Teams, they're communicating properly, or their documents are in the cloud, or their apps are in the cloud. They're just able to work. So what is it, Trevor? And you might know, what is it with these organizations and these IT providers who tell people they should stay on premise? Yes.
I've got no. We've been doing the same thing. Like, realistically, when you and I were going out and talking to accounting firms and saying, you know, we've got to move to the cloud, we're getting the same questions. We're worried about security. Our application won't run in the cloud. We've got legacy applications. We've got these sort of things. You know, I was thinking the other day, you know, Xero pretty much kicked a lot of this stuff off. They started the whole process of accountants to think differently. I wasn't
for accountants. I think for the industry, there are an awful lot of providers kicking this off. There was Amazon Web Services. There was Microsoft with their Oh, look at that! There goes the phone. With the there's Microsoft with the We're All In campaign, which was in 2010, if I remember rightly. There was Azure. There was Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud. There's lots of cloud been going on, but it seems to me. I'm not just talking about end user organizations. I'm talking about IT providers who have got their feet firmly stuck in the mud going, and I think, and cynically I said years ago, it's all about the money. Right? Follow the money and it will show you everything. I think for those providers, they can't get their heads around the fact that you can no longer lock your clients into a contract. You have to charge on a user basis, not some big lumpy amount of money because somebody wants a certain server. And you've got to stop doing hardware. Right? The IT providers, you know, the margins have been eroded on hardware for forever. You've just got to stop doing it. There's no point doing it. But I think lots of people they're stuck in how that works. They're stuck in their ways. What have you seen out there? Have you seen similar behavior?
What about the concept of if it's not broken, don't fix it? I sort of feel that, you know, for me, now I'm with Ashford's and I'm out there, and previously I was with an accounting firm. You and I were looking at an accounting firms, and we were seeing that same thing, but they were able to scare everybody. Oh, it's not secure. It's not this. It's not that. I'm now going out to other industries, okay, and I'm seeing the same things that I was seeing 10 years ago, right? So there's still people stuck on legacy applications, and there's been no guidance from the IT providers.
But there has. The industry's provided an absolute vast amount of guidance, to be fair.
Their IT provider. So their IT provider says, I'm not going to break it. I'm not going to try and fix it. I'm not going to try and come up with a different solution. That means a massive project. It means this. So I'm not going to do it. So I get still that situation where we had, let's go in, you know, you should move to, I had a conversation this morning. They've got, where are your documents? Where are your emails? Their emails are running through an Exchange server, still on their, on their on-prem.
Yep.
Their documents are on there. He said, oh, well, I said, well, why, you're not on Office 365. Why haven't you moved there? And he goes, oh, well, no one's ever told me to.
Wow.
Never thought of it. Never thought of it. These sort of things. Then he did say, he got into is it secure? I'm concerned about the security. So you've got to go through those things. He brought up, will it cope with my files? So we've got to do a bit of testing. I think it's okay, but he's got like CAD drawings and stuff like that. And we've already had that discussion before where they think that they're unique. They think it's something special that they've got and no one else does it and nobody puts it in the cloud. But when we go through and start talking about the security, okay, well, let me do some examples for you on security. Oh gosh, I better go there tomorrow. You mean I could have accessed this from home at any one time? So I do put a bit back to both of our industries in that whole thing of, I don't really want to go and muck it up, and I don't want to give myself extra work.
So I was chatting to, about 2 years ago, I bumped into one of my IT guy colleagues who runs an IT company, and I was talking to him about the cloud, and he hadn't even considered it. So despite all the outreach and communications from vendors, he really hadn't considered it. So I sat down and I worked the model through with him. It took him a year to move all of his clients to the cloud. Interestingly enough, despite his feeling that he'd make less money and his business would be at more risk, it's a recurring billing. His business is at less risk. He's making more money and he's more profitable. It's more predictable and he's got a higher sale value on his business. And most IT providers who have got their feet in the sands don't realize that their business is worth, $1 per dollar of revenue until they can turn on that annuity revenue. So they're missing out on all sorts of stuff and they don't really realize it. And I think that's a shame. And I think when you see organizations who go, oh, I hadn't even thought about it, I think that's an indictment on the IT industry as a whole, having done a bad job. Because saying it's not broken, I won't fix it. Well, the whole point of on-prem is it's broken. It's like when we took power generation out of your home and we put large-scale power generation and distribution centrally. You wouldn't think of 100% generating your own power, and I know solar's kind of changing that. So, but you wouldn't run a big fat generator. You buy it from the utility, for example. You wouldn't do all your healthcare in your home. You go to a hospital where they have better resources and they can scale it better. And there's all sorts of examples in the community where that works better. And IT has been maturing. Before, you had to have your own servers. We didn't have another way to do it. You had to have your own infrastructure. You had to have an IT guy. When was the last time you actually saw a business with a full-time IT person?
Never.
You don't need them anymore, right? You used to. When I started in IT, I worked for an accounting firm with 60 people in it. And there was 2 IT people in that business.
You remember that?
We needed it.
We had that one.
Alive.
We had that one accounting firm that we didn't get the gig because they were worried their internal IT guy knew he was going to lose a job.
Yeah.
We didn't get.
That's the same with these legacy providers. If they think if it goes to the cloud, I won't have anything to do because it won't break anymore.
Yeah.
So you really need, as a customer, to listen to that and go, if my provider doesn't have anything to do because it won't break anymore, maybe I need a different provider. I want the provider that doesn't want it to break anymore, right?
But I've got a whole brand new business built on improving all of those systems and the integration and the automation and the reporting. That's the message that I was getting years ago from where we went with Xero, where we went to Microsoft Partner Conference. Microsoft have been screaming this out on stage. They got me to go up on stage and say, can you tell our industry where the accounting industry has gone and how we've got to move into that space? And and the same thing in the accounting industry. A lot of accountants moved early and got it and created accounting businesses like you've never seen before.
Yep.
But a lot of them are still sitting back.
Time and materials, in
the dark ages and trying to do those sort of things. For me to go out and holistically talk to someone about their business and what they want to do, I get so passionate. I've always been passionate about the whole thing, but I had to say to someone, I'm sorry, I'll slow down.
Yep.
because I'm so excited for where you're going to go and the impact this is going to have on your business when we get past this point.
Yep.
And he went, yeah, I can tell. So that passion's just gone from the accounting industry now into clients. But for me, yeah, I feel there's this. I think it's break fix. I think let's not upset anything because I don't want to. I'm too busy, which the accounting industry's got the same. I'm already too busy. I don't want more work.
Yeah. Well, I see your point, but at the end of the day, you do, right? You saying I'm too busy. You're too busy doing silly things. So, for example, I remember we were at a presentation and somebody got on stage and said the best innovation to accounting industry is 2 screens.
Yeah.
And the reason that's an innovation is you're copying data from one system to another. When you go to the cloud and start integrating your applications, and I'm sounding like some kind of televangelist now. When you go to
Yeah.
the cloud and you're doing that kind of innovation, what happens is you end up being able just to hook these applications together and never typing from one system into another ever again. Now, to do that on premises was really hard. You had to spend a bunch of money and buy a bunch of kit. The cloud, it's not just the cloud, it's the way we've gone, well, now we know where that's running. We can actually interface to it. It's not running on some custom server somewhere. And you can build, reports and integration and interfaces and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah. It's like, did cloud get a dirty word? Did it become a dirty word? Did everybody go, oh, I'm sick of you talk? Like, how many people have said to me, like, I go have a beer and they go, oh, don't go. Trevor's just going to talk about the cloud. Trevor's just cloud mad. All he thinks about is the cloud. And I go, well, is there a better word for it? I don't know, but it's almost like it's a bit mocked, and it just gives opportunity.
Maybe in your industry, it isn't really, people get it now. I think, if you don't, lots of problems.
I'm not talking about my industry. I'm talking about I go out and play golf with people, and I've had people I play golf with who are in other industries, and they go, oh, Trevor's mad about the cloud. You want to know about the cloud? Go talk to Trevor.
Yeah, it's complex, right? It's a complex set of solutions we have to go and fix. And cloud's complex, right? It's big, it's meaningful, it does all sorts of things, right? It's not just Office 365 and it's not just Xero. But I would say if you use Facebook, if you use Instagram, if you use TikTok, if you've ever streamed something, if you've ever done Optus Sports, if you've ever watched Netflix, you're using cloud services already.
Hasn't that changed? So, okay, let's think about Foxtel. Foxtel was a box in your room. And how many people, if you think about it, how many people have still got that box in their room where they record the sessions they want to record? And Foxtel's still out selling their box, right?
Yeah, with ever declining revenue.
Yes. And that's all they're thinking about. But you go streaming, they're moving slowly to streaming. Netflix has killed it. KO's gone crazy because you can go back and go, oh, I missed the golf this morning, or I missed that show. Go back on demand, click and watch it.
I was on Optus Sports the other day watching an EPL game from 1976 because they played the game differently back then, and I can watch the whole game end to end. You just couldn't. There was no other way to do that, and more content was uploaded this hour to YouTube than was the size of the internet 5 years ago. At those kind of statistics, these things are enormous, and people don't really get it. So I think. What's really funny, you're back to your customer where they said, I don't, I didn't even think, can it handle what I'm doing? Can it handle what I'm doing? Really?
Yeah, I know. How much data can I put in there? I go that was the other one I had the other day. We have, how much data would it cope with the amount of files we've got? So a little 10-person business. And I said, we did an entire bank a few years ago. So I think it was 5 petabytes of data. And I still don't remember what a bloody petabyte is.
We did when we did the project with one of the big publishing companies, one of the newspaper companies, we took every photo and video and we stored that in the cloud. And we went to the cloud provider we'd chosen and we said, look, we're going to store. And it was 5 to 6 petabytes of data, which is a lot. If you think, gigabytes, terabytes, exabytes, petabytes, right? It's a lot of data. And they went, the square kilometer array, which is our radio telescope we've got, creates that a second.
Yeah. There you go. Boom, boom.
There you go.
Ding
so
dong.
it's like it's creating the total volume of human knowledge when we were kids every second in data.
Yeah.
which is just scary. But anyway, so key thing, is
Well,
it secure?
so let's take it back to reality. What about legacy applications? Maybe I've got an MYOB Premier that I need to run locally,
Yeah,
or I need
wouldn't you say upgrade to 0, Trev?
yeah, but I can't. I don't want to.
I don't want to. Well, there's a difference between can't and don't want to.
What about ownership of data?
What do you mean ownership of data?
Who owns the data?
You own the data. Unless you don't pay for the service.
Unless you don't pay for it, yeah.
And then yeah.
But what are your thoughts like on, let's talk about Google using your data for marketing and purposes. Xero creating business analytics from all of the data that they've got.
Yep.
Like, I think Xero published how much payroll they manage across the board, and that information is available for them.
Yeah, well, but they've got access to every transaction in there, absolutely. But you gave them that access. It wasn't, not you personally, but anybody who's ever signed up to Xero has given Xero that access.
Yeah.
Anybody who signs up to Google for free knows, obviously, because you all read the terms and conditions, that you've given Google the worldwide royalty-free exclusive license to reproduce, adapt, modify, publicly perform, and publicly display your content.
But I trust Google that they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't do anything with that. Everybody's getting weirded out. Facebook. I signed up to Facebook. I didn't read the terms and conditions. I didn't go, and now all of a sudden I'm hearing all these things about they're using this information and learning about me, and then pushing data that I don't,
They're pushing
it thinks that I want to know.
Absolutely. Well, in fact, it's worse than that, because these social platforms are, and there's some great articles about it now, are starting to listen to your political views and then surrounding you with your own political views. So suddenly you're losing both sides of the story. You end up, especially as people are moving away from trad media into consuming everything on social, you start to live in your own bubble of craziness. Right, a left-wing bubble, a right-wing bubble, or whatever it is.
We open with this, and we're back there again. So no wonder you and I are so passionate about our own views, because that's all we're getting told.
And we get that repeated back to us, so it feels like you're right. You have to really hard, and I find this very much in my Twitter feed. I have to really struggle to not block people like Scott Morrison to get a different point of view on things, although it does stick in my craw a little bit. But it's really important to open that up. I won't tell you I joined a political party this week. We'll move on from that.
Oh, here we go. That's offline. I do love it. I do love talking to you about it, but I don't think everybody else here wants to hear it.
No, nobody wants to hear it. But I think the thing we want to say about cloud computing is, there's no legacy application really that you can't run in the cloud.
No.
There are maybe some that talk to physical hardware that it can get interesting to do, but nothing's impossible, and we can do all of that. And people have been doing this for years now. And you overestimate the size of the project. It's actually not that hard.
Yeah, that's right. And if you're not there on the cloud and your IT provider hasn't come and seen you about it, have a think about that.
Yeah, you should have a think about whether that's the right provider for you, because it probably isn't.
Yeah.
Not to diss other IT providers, but certainly if I had a IT provider, and I get it every now and then, because I go to a bunch of industry events, I know a bunch of IT people will have conversations about, no, it's far safer if they have a server, and I give them, everybody now in the room, they look like they're the crazy, right? Whereas when we started doing this
10 years ago, we were the crazy.
Well, I was standing on stage going, you better get with the cloud, it's where everyone's going to be, and everyone in the room thought we were crazy. Well, that's flipped. Now the on-prem people are crazy. So that's the way the industry's going. If you do any reading around the IT industry, the leaps and bounds we're making with cloud computing are going to do amazing things you could never do with on-premises.
And the big message coming from Microsoft to the IT providers is you should not be doing on-prem. Everything should be going cloud.
I wouldn't be surprised if, and it's coming, right? Exchange, you won't be able to buy anymore. SharePoint you won't be able to buy. SQL Server you'll get developer editions, but you'll need to use the cloud version. It won't be long until it all shifts and changes.
Oh well, there you go. I can't believe we're still talking about this 10 years later.
Yeah, no. Cool, isn't it?
But anyway, I wouldn't have anything to do then if everybody was there and all sorted and understanding it. I've got a whole new business, a whole new model, and a whole new thing that's evolved out of that. And that was a story that we were telling. That was the same discussion we were having back with the Institute of Chartered Accountants 4 or 5 years ago. Things that I'm doing is, where we were talking to everybody and in both our industries of what we should be doing.
Absolutely.
And those that haven't moved, well, here we come.
Yep, and to make life really interesting, talking about moving, Windows 11 launches October 5.
Ooh, I get my rounded window.
It's a free upgrade.
A free upgrade? It'll just happen?
Yep. No, you'll probably need to do it, but it's a free upgrade.
Cool. I'll do it on mine. That's fantastic.
Cool.
All right, Nick, thank you again for a lovely chat.
That's been awesome. I'll go publish that in a bit, and if you are watching, please make sure you leave us a like, make sure you subscribe. We're now on Amazon Podcasts and Amazon Media. That happened last week. It's very exciting. Hello, Amazon. Do leave us a comment with things you'd like us to cover, and we'll make sure we cover those topics. But Trevor, thank you so much for today.
No worries. Thank you again, Nick.
Have a great day. Bye-bye, everyone.